From the day we arrived on the planet and blinking stepped into the sun,
there's more to see than can never be seen, more to do than can never be done.
There is far too much to take in here, more to find than can ever be found.
But the sun rolling high through the sapphire sky keeps great and small on the endless round. It's the circle of life,
A circle of life,
and it moves us all through despair and hope,
through despair and hope,
faith and love,
faith and love,
till we find our place,
till we find place.
on the path unwinding, in the circle, circle of life.
Oh, the circle of life. Now some of us fall by the wayside, and some of us soar to the stars.
And some of us sail through our troubles, and some have to live with the scars.
And some say eat or be eaten, and some say live and let live.
But all are agreed as they join the stampede, you should never take more than you give. In the circle of life, it's the wheel of fortune,
Love for you,
it's my leap of faith,
it's the leap of faith,
it's the ground of hope,
it's the ground of hope.
till we find our place,
Till we find our place,
on the path unwinding, in the circle of life, on the path unwinding, in the
the circle of
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Gootz's Disney Pod. I am Ray Gootz, and I'm here with my guest Erik Bransteen. Erik, how you doing?
I'm excited. This is a big one.
Yeah, you got a big one.
I got the big one. You know, I didn't get Oliver and Company. I got
No.
I got the big one.
Or Emperor's New Groove. That was original.
Yeah.
That was one I asked you to do originally.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, no, you have The Lion King, which is probably
This
one of the
is
biggest.
yeah. I'm so lucky.
This is like the seller of Disney movies.
You're right.
Yeah,
I'm so lucky
seller
to get
comic
this. It's almost like I don't know how I got this. Maybe there's some sort of horrible thing going on where I'm the only person that would come over.
Yeah, that's
during
essentially.
Yeah. All right. So it's like, listen, if it takes a pandemic to get me The Lion King, I'm down for it.
Yeah, so we're recording this. What's today's date? March 21st.
Right.
There's a pandemic going on. Originally, I'd asked Nico White to do this, but he's all the way in Harlem. and I think pretty much his life's over at this moment. So
Yeah.
because there's no comedy, so I feel bad asking him to come all the way over here. But I don't mind.
No, I'm excited to be here. I got here in about 5 minutes, and
There's
live
no traffic, right?
3 hours away. Somehow I got here in 5 minutes. So.
Yeah, there's nobody out in the street.
Yeah, it's a little spooky. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking at this point, like, I was thinking when I was driving the traffic lights. I don't even know if you really need them at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just they're kind of advisories at this point.
Yeah, no, there's nobody on the street. There's nobody anywhere. All right, but before we get into how abandoned everybody is, Eric, how long did you do stand-up comedy?
I don't know. It's a very long time, I think.
Very
at
long time.
At least 3 weeks.
At
No.
least- okay.
I
So I
don't
met
know.
you in 2011 or 10.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
before that, so maybe like 15 years or more. You
Mhm.
know?
I met
It's
you at
hard, it's
Air-
hard to kind of point to because there was a few years where I'm like doing it like once a month or not even, doing a bringer. I didn't really count that. Did you ever count that?
Yeah, I don't really count those years where I worked full time at Caroline's anymore. Even though like I was doing like Aaron Haber shows, like five. At my 2 days off, I was doing like 5 shows a night
Yeah.
with Aaron Haber. I don't really count that time anymore because like I would do 10 shows in 2 days. I'd be like, oh my god, I'm such a great comic. Then it would take 5 days from just a manager, and I would lose it. And I have to the first show that Friday. You have Friday and Saturdays off. The first show that Friday, I'd always be like trying to get back into shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I just had 5 days of not stand up, so I don't count those days anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's just when you're kind of doing it consistently.
Yeah.
Whatever. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, so that's stand up. But I don't think it's ever going to happen anymore. I think it's over.
You think all stand up's over?
I don't know, but think about this. If you think about it, like, let's say no comedy club will be open for the next year.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of comics that are going to quit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said to Ray DeVito, this is so funny. This is gonna come out in like 8 weeks from now, and watch like
Yeah.
fuck me.
There'll be a comedy boom going
There'll be
on.
a comedy boom. Ali Colbert will have her own TV show and stuff. But this is good. This is good for historical reference. I said to Ray DeVito, you're one of the most successful comedians in the city right now because he has that job. He works in the medicine field where he delivers medicine in the Bronx.
Get out.
So he's never gonna lose his job at this point.
He delivers medicine?
He delivers medicine in the Bronx.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he'll keep working. If half the city dies, he's got a job.
Right.
But
I
like
thought the best job, because I was in Trader Joe's yesterday,
yeah.
and that place, none of those guys are getting laid off.
No.
at Trader Joe's. In fact, I talked to the cashier, and he said, we just got 30 applications like in the last couple hours.
Yeah, a lot of people I know from Caroline's went to grocery stores. Like that's no, they did. They're like, that's where people are gonna go.
Oh, okay.
Like you're now like a baller. Like the movie Cocktail, where Tom Cruise is like the hottest guy in town because he was now like he's the butcher at K&T at Food Emporium. You fucking everybody buys.
All
you
right, it's a
beer.
lateral move.
You know what the crazy thing is? I was playing this game called it was a show on Netflix, The Witcher.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what?
Do you see this with Henry Cavill? It's called The Witcher.
No.
Okay. Well, it's like Game of Thrones. It's takes
okay.
place in like ancient fucking medieval, I don't know, fantasy times. And he goes to a the hero, you go inside a pub and they're talking about a war and they're talking about a plague and that there's monsters and all this shit. And I'm like, even in this world where there's monsters and plagues and demons, they still have the restaurants and bars open, and we don't. Like, how crazy is that? Like if you said in Game of Thrones, and then they closed the restaurants, the showrunner would be like, they never closed the restaurants. But there's a dragon. No, the restaurant's gotta stay open. We gotta have.
Well, I read this article that made a point. Like, how
Yeah.
they think a lot of people aren't taking this seriously,
Mhm.
and people are still going outside and stuff.
Yeah.
And they said that some, especially young millennials and stuff, they watch all these shows like Walking Dead and all these end of the world movies and stuff like that. And the end of the world looks way worse than this looks right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is bad. This is awful. This is the worst that it's probably ever been in real life.
Mhm.
But if you compare this to fucking zombies walking down the street, it's still not so bad.
No.
So they're saying that's why they're not taking it seriously. 'Cause
Yeah.
they don't doesn't look like the end of the world to them.
But no, it's really bad. I mean, think about this. I mean, I was saying this again to somebody else. as long as this country's been around or this city's been around, you could go on a Saturday night and go to a restaurant and sit down.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter if World War II was out. It didn't matter the Great Depression. If you wanted if you had the money and you wanted to sit down in a booth and have a cheeseburger, you could do that.
Right.
And the fact that now, I don't know, maybe in North Dakota, you can still do that.
Yeah.
Montana, I think Montana's, by the way, Montana's a state to be.
Yeah.
That's where the country's going to be rebuilt. There's nothing going on. There's like 6 cases. And they're like, you could hide out in a mountain and fucking rebuild the comedy community.
Yeah. In Billings.
Yeah. But, like, this is the point. And it's all over the world. Like, you can't go to a pub in England. There's no place you can go to sit down and eat.
You know, even during World War II, when
Mm-hmm.
Britain was being bombed by the Germans, it's famous 1940 or something like that.
Yeah.
They would be bombed at night, and then
Yeah.
every day people would just go to work the next day.
It's insane.
That more activity was going on then than right now. Yeah.
Yeah, which, I got a lot of theories about that. But you know what? Those theories probably either be proven correct or incorrect by the time this comes out.
Oh, okay. What's your theory?
For number one, that China planted this. That's my one
Okay.
theory. That, all of a sudden they're all cured and we're all about to die.
Right.
But, not that I'm a Trump guy, but it's like, they're focused more on... It's weird to me how many millennials or younger people are praising China on Facebook and Twitter, where I'm like, they literally will shoot you if you say something against the government, and you're like, yeah, these guys got it figured out. Like, it's weird to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the story is that at this point, like, originally they were bad with it, and because they were very secretive, and this shit spread, and then they just kind of, went back to their totalitarian roots, and they just shut everything down, and then it never spread there, because it's supposedly turning a corner over there.
Yeah,
now.
I believe it's turning the corner, but I also believe that millions of people died from it, and they kept it secret.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like a country, like, people don't seem to get other countries hate us a lot, and they would. I'm sorry.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't think? Yeah, they fucking hate us,
Yeah.
especially since and I think when we elected a reality TV star as president, I think that was a sign to the world we can get them now. They're fucking idiots, and I think China, I think the people in charge there would gladly sacrifice 1 million people to take us out and to topple us as a world superpower.
Yeah.
I think they would. And the other thing I think is it's not that big of a deal, and they're doing this to kind of like take away our rights. So either one's bad. I mean, either the United States is on the up and up and China is destroying us,
Right.
or China's on the up and up and they're turning the government into a dictatorship. So either way, we're fucked.
Well, if you go by the theory that they may have of how it started, I mean, if it wasn't planted by China, which it could be, I'm not going to say, but
People still think somebody ate a bat.
that's the bat thing.
Yeah.
But you see, it's never. See, I don't believe it's always when you eat something. Don't these things always start with someone has sex with something?
Yes, did it? Well,
So I
that
think
was
someone had
AIDS.
sex
Didn't
with-
someone fuck a monkey or something?
That was always. But I think that's how you try. I think eating something gives you a stomach ache. But I don't know. Do you get a disease from that? I think someone had sex with a bat. How about that?
I don't know if you could fuck a bat.
What?
I don't know if you could fuck a bat.
You-
I mean, have you
I mean,
seen
you
it,
would
the
know
way a
s-
bat moves? You gotta really build the trust with that bat.
Okay.
I mean, well, the bat could fly. You gotta first of all, you gotta pin it down. Where would you put the? I don't know. Maybe somebody fucked a Chinese guy dressed like Batman who had AIDS, and that's where it started.
Well, here's the other thing too. I'm making jokes about this because that's now we're at the place now where I said this a few weeks ago to people. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the reverse of the 9/11 effect, where it's like, or any tragedy where there's a tragedy and you're not allowed to make jokes for a while,
Yeah.
and then it slowly gets better and you can make jokes. This operated in the reverse. At first, it wasn't a real thing, so everybody was making jokes about it. Now, as time goes along, and people are dying.
Yeah, people are dying.
You got to be careful what you're saying about this.
And I mean the comedy. I mean, there are people now doing comedy shows in their living room to try to continue to do comedy on Instagram Live. By the way, how funny is it? Aaron Haber has been doing live streams like this where he does comedy in empty rooms since he left New York. And on Thursday, he was doing one on Twitter. And I jumped in the chat room like, everyone stole your idea. Because this was his idea in 2011. And everyone said to him he's an idiot, which he kind of is. And now they're all doing his idea. So I went in the chat room. I typed in, everyone is stealing your idea. He goes, of course they're stealing my idea. Because it was a good idea. Everybody called me a fucking idiot. And now they all want to do my idea. And meanwhile, I've been doing it now for 5 years. Like, it was funny how he like.
Yeah, he was ahead of the curve.
He was ahead of the curve. Yeah, he had corona before anybody else.
Maybe he started the whole.
Maybe he started.
No, because he wouldn't want the competition. So,
Yeah, no. Now everybody's doing his thing.
Yeah.
But Eric, how did you get into stand-up?
I have no idea.
Really?
At this point, I mean, what? Someone says you're funny, I guess? Is that what got you into it?
I always wanted to do it, and after high school, I didn't have the balls, so I went to college. And then I knew someone in college. When I graduated, I didn't have any job prospects, and he was like, I can get you a job at Caroline's answering phones. And I'm like, well, I always wanted to do stand-up, so I might as well be near it. And a year into it, I did stand-up. And then I started doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a lot for me. It was like one of those where you take a class and then you do one of those shows, the graduating classes, and you bring all your friends. And usually that's your first time that you really perform.
Yeah.
And in that situation, you have nervous energy. You have your friends in the audience. You usually, you kill. You do well. And that suckers you in because you're like, I've done this one time, and I'm the best. I'm the best.
Yeah.
And then you don't realize it. You have to bomb for another 4 years.
Or 5 or 6 or 7. Yeah. No, yeah, always those first couple of sets. And then when the first bad one hits, you're like, well, what's going on?
Yeah,
like,
you don't get it.
They love me.
I mean, don't you on your first real show set, didn't you do well?
My first show, yeah. My first time ever on stage, I went up at Caroline's.
Oh, of course.
And I went on between Greg Fitzsimmons and Russ Maneve.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I did really well.
Yeah.
So obviously, and I think Bill Burr was there and Joe DeRosa. I don't know. There was a lot of big names there for my first time.
Did you have friends in the audience or no?
I had one friend.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to do it in front. Here's why I didn't want to do it in front of my friends, because I wanted if I kill in front of strangers, I'm meant to do this.
Yeah.
But
so you actually had a real feeling about it. Like, you did well and your friends weren't even there.
Yeah, they weren't there. Yeah. The second show, then 2 weeks later, I did a second show where I had to follow Ari Spears, and that did not go well at all. And I remember Big J and Joe DeRosa had to talk to me after my second. And that's when they were my friends. Maybe now they'll say hi to me. They got no one else to say hi to.
Am I coming through on this mic, by the way?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but that's what and I see it sometimes. Sometimes I'll see comics go on for the first time. I've noticed that the first time you go on stage, you usually do well, even if obviously you suck because you're brand new, but you have this weird nervous energy where you're also like, after a while, like when you're new, you start you go on stage, you look like you're reciting jokes.
Yeah.
But the first time you're on stage, you have this weird nervous energy where even if you like are reciting jokes, it comes out kind of real.
Yeah.
And that's why I always see when people go on for that first time, they always do well. I mean, do you agree with that?
Yes. People, their first couple times always do well, and then they hit a slump, and then they either get out of the slump. Here is when you know a person's going to become a great comic. When they stop having hope. And what I mean by that is I think everyone jumps in and thinks like it's going to be Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Right.
Like, I haven't seen that show, but I assume at like her second time on stage, somebody signs her to like a fucking deal.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Pete Holmes show.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, but he's living. Yeah. When you realize that it's never going to happen and nobody gives a fuck about me, and you just go up there and that's, I think, when you become a really great comic.
Yeah. And I think the transition is, right, so you start out. This is for most people. You start out, you do some bringer shows, right?
Yeah.
You do pretty well because your friends are there. Then after a while, your friends start to get a little bored of you. You're not doing as well. Then they won't even show up anymore, right? So then you're like, I can't bring anybody. I'm out of people. So you're like, I'll start doing open mics, or barking.
Yeah.
But when that happens, that's when you know this is fucking going to be really hard and horrible.
When
and
you start barking is when, like, I couldn't bark. I couldn't do it. I remember one time they asked me to do it at Caroline's for a spot, and I went all the way by Toys R Us on Times Square. I did like for 5 minutes, threw all the flyers in the garbage, and went to inside Toys R Us, just played the GameCube. Whatever the fuck was. So it's like I just felt weird going to people, but yeah, that's when you have to really want it, when you're barking and stuff.
Right,
yeah.
and also when you're barking, you probably get a bad spot on the show. The show's not that good. And then it's hard. And it's like, to me, it's like a weeding out process. You know?
Yeah.
You need that because if not, no one would quit.
Yeah, well, this thing is definitely going to be a weeding out process.
I mean,
this is the
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like the purge.
Yeah.
Eric, tell me about your childhood. How was your childhood? Did you ever have a childhood? I feel like you just like...
No, I just was an adult.
You just was born at Broadway.
I don't know, normal childhood. But I think you were going to... I don't want to... Because I want to kind of move a little closer to what we're talking about. Because I want to take one thing growing up that I loved. And this is the problem that I have in general with Disney movies is I like Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Okay.
You're
a Warner Brothers guy.
Yeah, the old.
That's kind of what I was as I hit like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, because I thought the Disney stuff was like very cheesy and
Mhm.
not and so I didn't really like a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because I thought Bugs Bunny was so much cooler. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though nowadays? I'll tell you what I'll give Disney over Warner Brothers. They've done a lot better job preserving the legacy of all their old stuff, Disney, than Warner Brothers has. Because Warner Brothers now, they've put on some Bugs Bunny cartoons lately, and they're just fucking dreadful. And they don't really put out the Bugs Bunny stuff. They don't celebrate him
You're
as
talking
much.
the new stuff.
Like now.
Oh, the new Bugs Bunny's horrible.
Yeah, but they don't really celebrate the old one. They
No.
don't really do much with him anymore. Even with like DC, like, you know, I got a new I didn't watch this new Superman cartoon, but James Myers something that they're cursing because Warner Brothers owns DC. They're cursing, and even like the Joker, where he's like, "You get what you fucking deserve." And it's like all this shit. It's like Disney does a better job of like preserving the characters, whereas like when you rewatch a Peter Pan, it's not that fucking good, but they've done such a good job of keeping the memory of Peter Pan that you're like, well, it's a fucking what? Everyone thinks it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Where Warner Brothers is completely. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about Looney Tunes anymore.
No, and they're not. And I fault a couple of things for this. One, fucking Warner Brothers. They don't put the shit on YouTube.
No.
You can only get the public domain stuff that has all the the band.
No, or on
cartoons.
Netflix or anything.
Yeah, no, yeah, you have to go, and that's a mistake because you have a whole generation of young people who have no idea what this stuff is. They think everybody knows them, but they don't.
They don't.
No.
Space Jam was the last time they were big,
Right?
And that wasn't even really them.
No,
Yeah.
and that wasn't like it was a cute movie, but it wasn't like the old Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
where Mel Blanc and Chuck Jones, Chuck Jones, I feel like you know who that is, right?
Yeah.
That guy was a genius.
Somebody said, Roger Ebert had a great quote. He said, Bugs Bunny begging Michael Jordan for help is like Groucho Marx showing up to like fucking Muhammad Ali's house and begging him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Groucho, you're supposed to handle this. Why are you, oh my God, please help me. Like, Bugs Bunny would not need this guy's help.
No, and he was a wise ass.
Yeah.
He was a wise ass, and Daffy Duck was a prick, later on.
Donald and Porky was like, subservient to them.
Right, yeah. And so, they, it was a lot of that was Chuck Jones, who I'm a huge fan of. One of the best animators
He's amazing.
of all time.
And he's another guy that I feel like his legacy not being preserved.
No, and so many people said they were inspired by, also Dave Chappelle said that one of his biggest comic inspirations was Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I feel like, you know what? And that's a great point. I feel like a lot of comedians are derived from Bugs Bunny because Bugs Bunny didn't let anything faze him.
Right.
And you see that in Mark Norman, Jerry Seinfeld, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, kind of the
There's
wise
like this
guy thing.
unfazed, I'm not bothered by this.
Yeah.
I'll find a way out of this no matter what.
Yeah, and that's the problem that I felt like Disney movies were lacking. They was more like Mickey Mouse was kind of, to me, Donald Duck had a little edge to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Donald Duck was the only one, though.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the outlier.
I'm told that the old, I've had old relatives tell me about Scrooge McDuck, not the DuckTales from the 90s.
Well, he was in he was created for the comic book.
Well, I heard that the comic book, this was in the 50s, was actually really funny and really good.
Yeah, I have issues on my computer. It is really good.
But, that was certain characters, and there were certain characters that just were like, Goofy, like Goofy. He was all right.
Yeah,
but
people love Goof Troop. I don't see it.
But just to bring it back to this movie that we're talking about, watching this movie, especially again today, this movie, the reason why Lion King is a great movie, but the reason why I think it's one of my favorite is it's as close to a Warner Brothers movie as the way the drawings are, and the way the actors behave. Mm-hmm. It's very close to being like an old Warner Brothers cartoon.
Well, I always said this. I said this when I recorded Little Mermaid podcast. When Little Mermaid is like the official end of like the 80s and like kind of like Hanna-Barbera style and stuff like that. Like 80s was very static animation. And it was the start of the 90s. And in the 90s, I don't know how much you watched, but you had Animaniacs.
Yeah, of course.
You had Tiny Toons. You had Tailspin, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the Batman cartoon.
Yeah.
And I feel like without Little Mermaid, none of that shit would have went down. So I feel like you go from Little Mermaid to this movie. So you have Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and this. And I feel like it kind of made everybody, except for Warner Brothers, who just gave up on Looney Tunes, it made everybody be like, you have to step this up. You can't, like, that's, I think, The Simpsons showed up right around that time.
Yeah, it's true. It's stepped up animation.
We got it as South Park, Family Guy. Without Little Mermaid, none of that stuff shows up. Right. Because it made that's when Disney finally, because I watched all these in a row. And when I was a kid, I liked Little Mermaid, but I didn't really like love it. I was like, it's all right. But that's because I didn't realize what was going on. And then now when you rewatch it and you rewatch everything Disney, you're like, oh, Little Mermaid is where it gets kicked into high gear and everyone else follows suit.
Right.
Everyone else gets smarter. And this movie, I think, is the smartest movie they've made. And that's why it resonated with so many people.
Yeah, and I think it was a perfect storm with this movie. So, yeah, they started picking up with Little Mermaid and then Beauty and the Beast. And
they get nominated for an Oscar for Beauty and the Beast.
And then, so this one's the thing. And it has everything. It's really well written. It's well acted. All these big stars. It's just a great movie. Lion King, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then they have this score that fucking wins the Oscar with Elton John. And it's like, and I felt after that movie that Disney, that movie was just, everything worked perfectly.
Yeah.
They got a little cocky and they tried to repeat the formula.
Well,
and if you look at the movies after Lion King, there were some busts there.
Yeah.
And then they just gave up on animation.
Written
hand animation.
Well, what happens is, to get ahead of it a little bit, Pocahontas, Lion King's kind of serious, but it's still kind of silly.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tim and Pumbaa are very Warner Brothers.
Right.
I don't want to get ahead, but like the beginning is very serious, and it's a very father-son thing. We'll get all into all that, and then it gets silly and goofy. Then they did Pocahontas, and Pocahontas is just purely serious.
Oh,
There's not a lot of, but it's a good, like looking back now, it's a good movie. But if you're a little kid, if you're like, I don't know, 7 or 8, you just saw Lion King, and it's this next summer, you're like, Pocahontas!
Yeah.
And you're seeing this deadly serious movie about like the slaughter of Native Americans. Have you ever seen Pocahontas?
Yeah.
You're kind of like, what the fuck? And then Hunchback, which I literally like, but Hunchback is like basically about rape and repression and religion, like fucking, and I love it as an adult. But again, if now you're 9, if you're 7 when you saw The Lion King, you love it and you sing the song, and now you're 9 and you're at Hunchback, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And I think, but at the same time, while they're making Pocahontas and fucking Hunchback, Pixar makes Toy Story, which they didn't own the rights to at the time. They just distributed it, and Toy Story really upped the ante after this movie. Not just with the CGI, but with the story and the characters, and
right. But
you've seen Toy Story?
Yeah,
right?
of course. But I mean, the one thing is, and we get that, like the comparison when you talk about the new Lion King is the hand animation.
So expressive.
Yeah, and that's what Chuck Jones, Warner Brothers, had. Like the facial, and you look at the Lion King, and you look at the Scar, Jeremy. First of all, they always look kind of a little bit like the actor.
Scar looks just like Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, and the expressions on his face are kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
In it. And I don't know, and then you think about like, well, we'll get to that in a minute, but like those other movies that followed, it was probably also, there was a lot of, this was the beginning of the political correctness too.
Well, yes, but like also like if you look at like Hunchback, it was not politically correct.
It wasn't.
No, have you seen that lately?
No.
Have you ever seen it?
I think I saw it once.
You gotta rewatch it. If it's fucking, it's out there, man. When I finally watched it December, and I'm like, I can't believe that Disney was like, yeah, this is good. We're good with this.
They sang in it.
They sing, but it's like there's a song basically where the villain is like, if her Esmeralda, played by Demi Moore, if she doesn't fuck me, I'm just gonna kill her. Like that's basically the plot of the song.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, because I think, and then after a while, they stopped singing in Disney movies.
They kind of took a break from singing around right after Tarzan.
Right. Then they would just play songs around it.
Yeah, and then a lot of them are very bad, and then they went to CGI to kind of cut, because Pixar kind of like, Lion King stepped it up, and everybody was like, what's next? And Pixar took that with Toy Story and Monsters, Inc. and all that, and Disney didn't until finally Disney bought Pixar, and they made the guy in charge, John Lasseter, he was in charge of Disney and Pixar, the animation, until he got Me Too'd.
I didn't even know that about it.
Yeah, he got Me Too'd, yeah. So, I mean, but hey, you know what? While he was molesting everybody, he made some great movies. Anyway.
Well, would you say Lion King is, if you had to put top 5 Disney animated movies, would you put Lion King there?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Wow.
I'll tell you why. I didn't see Lion King in full until this year. I saw Lion King. I saw the first half of Lion King in high school in an assembly. I think a class got canceled, or there was some sort of emergency that was not a pandemic, but we had to go inside assembly and to just keep us distracted for like an hour they put on Lion King, and they literally cut the movie off after Mustafa died. Yeah, which is like what?
Yeah.
And we could go to class, and I never finished it. And the reason why I never finished it is it's one of those movies, and I feel like Forrest Gump. 94 is a big year for this with me.
Yeah.
It's one of
94
those
is a
movies-
great movie year.
That is one of, that you could do a whole podcast about 1994, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's OJ,
Right.
everything, whether it's sports. So many massive events happened in 1994.
And if you look at 94, just the movies, there's 3 movies were nominated for Best Oscar. This movie was not, by the way.
which is insane. Well,
Right.
Shawshank
Forrest Gump,
and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And if you those 4 movies, if Shawshank, Lion King, Pulp Fiction, and Forrest Gump, changed so much and made so many actors like iconic. James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
He was already iconic as Darth Vader, but this made him even more.
Yeah, of course.
Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump, John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction, Uma Thurman in
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, and finally Shawshank. I think Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
it
put
made him
on
an
that.
icon too.
Yeah.
But what the fuck? Shit. 90. Oh, so me with Lion King. So I never really watched it because I felt like, you ever see a movie where people talk about it so much you feel like you've seen it?
Yeah.
That's kind of what Lion King was for me. So I finally watched it this September all the way through to get ready for this podcast. And I really liked it, but like it didn't have a connection with me because I felt like I saw it, but I didn't. You get my point? Like I liked it. I like a lot of things about it. Like I love a lot of things about it, and I agree it's one of the best. But it's not in my personal top 5
Wow.
because I don't feel like I grew up with it. I feel like it was other people's childhood. I don't know. It's weird.
But did you pick up on, because I was reading how this was, I didn't know this was the first Disney, like one of these movies, the animated movies, where it was in a completely, the script was an original idea.
Which is bullshit.
Everything, I know, it's not, but everything was
Yeah.
based on, these other ones were based on old fables or fairy
or
tales.
books. Like Rescuers was a book.
Right.
Um,
And Snow White.
Snow White.
old-
Yeah.
So this one, but it's not. It's really a ripoff of a lot of things.
Hamlet.
Hamlet.
This Japanese film.
That's what I read about that
Yeah.
today.
Well, here's the weird thing, and it's in the
Kimba,
special.
right? Kimba it was called.
Yeah, Kimba. So,
They really did a lot to change it. You know?
yeah, Kimba, Simba. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna steal something, fucking. Why don't you change the name a little bit?
Yeah, here's the weird thing. So in the special features of The Lion King, they have a lot of documentaries, and I watched all of them. So like what I'm doing is I'm watching all these movies and their special features to determine who's best for each movie. Obviously, that's out the window with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Now I'm just getting whoever I can get. But you're a great guest for Lion King. You're way better. Nico White probably just would have berated me. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
So but in the special features, they keep saying that on the press tour for Oliver and Company, Jeffrey Katzberger told the animators a very personal story about something that happened to him as a kid, and that personal story was the idea for Lion King. And I'm like, well, what was the story? And they don't tell you in the special features, which is weird to me. What I think is fucking Jeffrey Katzberger was probably like, hey, I saw this fucking stupid Japanese movie. We should just rip it off
Yeah.
for Lion King. Because, like, what happened? Like, did your uncle kill your dad? What the fuck are you talking about? That, like, deeply personal story that, like, that was the idea. He told a very personal. That's, by the way, this movie is when they got rid of Jeffrey Katzberg. It was because of this movie.
Oh, after this?
Yeah.
Oh.
What happened was
why,
he
though?
went in the press and said he's the reason why, and he kind of is the reason why Little Mermaid to this. Because right after this movie, they bought ABC.
Okay.
Yeah. And
When was
Michael
Eisner running the company?
Eisner got pissed. He said that
Oh, okay.
and forced him out. And that's when he formed DreamWorks
Oh, okay.
with Steven Spielberg. But I mean, like, if you when you really pay attention to history, he kind of is the reason why. If they didn't make Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, they would not own Marvel or Star
No,
Wars.
I think I've read things. I think when they had that lull in the '80s, Disney, they were on the verge of bankruptcy. Or
They were
yeah.
going to shut down the animation division and just. Do you remember Down and Out Beverly Hills?
Yes, the Touchstone, right?
Yeah, you're the only. I've asked that question now for 5 guests. They're like,
Yeah.
"What?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"This is a real movie."
Great movie, by the
It
way.
is a great movie.
Yeah.
But they made Down and Out Beverly Hills and Risky Business or Ruthless People.
Ruthless People.
Another
Another great movie.
and they were going to go strictly into raunchy comedies. Because Jeffrey Katzberg was the one, we should make live action adult comedies.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think they made Can't Buy Me Love and Touchstone and also Cocktail.
Right.
And I think Color of Money is also. And they were going to go into, he said, shut down the animation division. And then they finally said, all right, we're going to do this, but we're going to go back to the old Disney formula. They found Alan Menken and Howard. I had this whole. I've been saying this name for 15 podcasts, but they got them to do the music for A Little Mermaid. They went
Right.
back and they were like, "This needs to make a profit, or we're done." And they did Little
Right,
Little
right.
Mermaid and all that because the movies in the 80s were just bombing. And
Yeah, because they would have these quad. I make the joke about Oliver and Company, but I know that was the lull. Like they didn't have a lot of big movies in the 80s.
no, they didn't. Disney was kind of old. Like
I'm
mom,
talking about their movie studio, the animation studio.
yeah, as a little baby in the 80s, like 87, 88. Basically, Disney was like some old man company that did great stuff in the past, and now it's gone.
Right.
So I would watch Pinocchio and Cinderella and Lady and the Tramp, like, all right, this stuff was from the 50s. They're never gonna replicate that, and they did, and they fucking
Now they own the world.
now they own the world. Well, for now. Did you hear the rumor? Let's see if this is true. By the time this podcast, Apple plans to do a hostile takeover.
Of who?
Disney, because the stock prices dropped so severe, they're gonna buy a bunch of it, and then they'll own Disney.
I don't know if that's going to be good.
I don't know if that's going to happen. Well, by the time this comes out, those companies might not exist. So let's go through the movie scene by scene, or like just go through the story.
No.
So the very first scene, I think, is the best scene in the movie, and one of the best scenes in animation history. I don't know if you agree with me. Where Simba's born.
Yeah, with the holding. That's and when they hold the baby Simba over.
Yeah, and all the animal and this song.
In the song, which is that joke and trope has been used so many times.
Oh, Russ Beneve.
Yeah, but I've
Yeah.
seen it on TV a million times too.
But
yeah.
you want to hear something really the story about that? I thought this was a great story. So Hans Zimmer,
who's the composer of the movie?
composer, told Elton John writes a song with Tim Rice, and he says, "I have a guy that can do this big African start, and he can get a chorus and da da da." So the day they're supposed to record, they can't find the guy. Hans Zimmer's calling this fucking guy for 2 weeks. Can't find him. Finally, it's the day they're supposed to record. He's like, "Where are you? Where are you?" The guy comes running in an hour late, gets into the thing, and nails it in one take.
Wow.
Yeah. He just does it, and they just go with it, and then as soon as he's done, he just gets up and runs out because he had something going on, like some girl problem or something.
Oh wow.
And he nailed it in one take, and it's so funny. This guy runs in a room, does this, and it has stayed like with comedy. It's a comedy bit.
Yeah.
It's a pair. Like it's stayed. It's such a
And he
part
probably
of
got
Disney.
paid nothing for it. Like
He
$20.
probably is dead. He's probably dead of corona right now. Like,
How much do you think he got for that? Like $20?
he probably got nothing. I
You
mean,
know,
he was
you
like,
remember
"Get
that
out,
story that the guy, those old commercials for Yahoo? That guy-
Yahoo!"
Yeah, the guy who did it, like, he did it in some recording, and they paid him like $100, and then
Yeah.
they used it for everything that they ever did.
Mhm.
I bet you that guy, the Lion King guy, they probably gave him like $100 bucks, and
They probably gave him like a thing of weed, and he was like, "That's good." Well, the same thing with the fucking the Superman guys are the biggest ones who got fucked over.
oh yeah.
So then the movie starts, and we meet Scar, and he's
Played
very
by
gay.
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah. Microscene brought up a great point that most Disney villains are like very homosexual.
Oh, so you think he's a little foppish? You talking about?
Yeah, well, see, I always thought that he like marries Mustafa's wife after he dies, and he has no interest in her.
No, that's the Hamlet story, because that's what Hamlet's.
Yeah, I thought that
Yeah.
he also was in love with I forget the mom's name. It's not Nalia's the girlfriend of Simba, but I thought he was in love with her and wanted to be king. I didn't know he just wanted to be king and then had no sexual interest.
Well, just why? I mean, first of all, that was the best casting. I mean, he always was a villain, Jeremy Irons.
Oh yeah, he's great.
But I was thinking about today. I didn't want to Google it. I'm like, he basically is always the villain. Like, what movie has he not been the villain?
Batman v Superman, which is why it was horrible.
Oh, that's right. He was the Alfred.
Alfred, yes.
Okay, but that's kind of a really small role. It's really like almost a non-role.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do much in these movies, does he?
No.
Right. He's in the new ones, right?
No. Well, I mean, I think like if
The
if
real new ones.
the what?
The real new Batman movies.
Oh yeah, no. Well now there's a new Batman movie coming out with Robert Pattinson, which they're not shooting it right now. So
right, but
who
I'm talking
knows?
about not the one because it was Michael Caine was doing it for a few years.
That was Christian Bale. This is the Ben Affleck
Right,
one.
that's
He
what
was
I'm
Ben
saying.
Affleck's Alfred.
Right.
So Simba, Scar.
I mean, because he was the great Die Hard villain.
Yes,
Yeah.
Scar's pissed. He wants to be the king. Mustafa shows Simba the Pride Lands, and they talk about being a king, the circle of life. And Scar, though, wants to get rid of Mustafa and Simba. So he tells Simba and Nalia to go to the elephant's graveyard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, what happened?
Keep going.
Oh, Simba sings "Can't Wait to Be King" before he goes there, and he's being chased by Zazu, who's Rowan Atkinson, who really is good in this.
He is.
Mr. Bean.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was replaced in the new one by John Oliver.
Oh, the which new one?
The new Lion King.
The live action version.
Yeah.
Oh,
and John Oliver did a good job. Like that was a good replacement for that. And I also like. Well, keep going. Go ahead.
Okay. So, what do you think of "Can't Wait to Be King"? The musical number. What'd you think of it?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I thought you.
Did you like the song, the musical number?
Yeah, I mean, this music in the movie is pretty good. They're all like Elton John. You know, Elton John, by the way, with that movie was like, that was also a turning point in his career.
Yeah.
Because at that point in his career, he was still doing all right, but it was kind of leveling off. And so now he's like, I'm going to do a musical, Lion King. Which for most rock and roll stars, especially back then, that was basically saying your career is kind of over. It could have.
Well, Billy Joel tried it with Oliver and Company. He didn't do anything.
What?
Remember, Billy Joel was in Oliver. He did a song for Oliver and Company. He didn't do anything.
No, it didn't. And it also, I felt at the time, was like kind of an admission, like I'm no longer a rocker. Now I'm
Now I'm a kitty guy.
Yeah, and so it was a chance for Elton John. And then that guy just fucking. It was like.
Yeah. Well, he got pissed, so they did a screening, and he got livid. He loved the whole movie. Then he got to Timon and Pumbaa singing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," and he got pissed. He stormed out. He goes, "You've ruined my song. You've made of me a mockery. My career will never recover. Why would you have I wrote this for Simba and Nalia to sing this to each other. Why would you do this to me?" Right. And he wouldn't pick up the phone. He was like, I never should have made this movie. You've ruined my life." And then when the movie came out and like everybody loved it, and his song became like I think it was #1 or like a huge hit single, he called up the animator and said, "I'm really sorry, you guys were right and I was wrong."
Oh wow!
Yeah. But like I kind of get it because even now when it starts and those two are singing it and it's kind of like comical, I could get how he when he sings it when he does his version that's always on the radio. This is like that's a real love song.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of get it, but like it works in the movie.
Yeah, no, and because Nathan Lane though was so good in that movie.
Yeah, Nathan Lane. Yeah, Nathan Lane is.
And that was the thing. And I saw some of the sequels he was in that too, but they didn't use him for the new one. Which
didn't they have Seth Rogen?
No, Billy Eichner and Seth Rogen.
How far did you get into the new one?
I ran right through it. I watched parts of it.
I just watched the opening sequence, and it was so devoid of emotion. Because look, I like giraffes. I don't want them to die. They're not good actors. So when you do like right now, Jasmine can express 97 different emotions. Yeah. Dogs are good actors. A giraffe is not a good fucking actor. A lion is not a good fucking actor. And they're not real lions, but like
they're animated
lions. But like you've tried so hard to make them realistic, they don't have any facial expressions. What do I like? It's a horrendous piece of shit compared. to
and there's like, I mean, I don't want to talk about the new one too much, but it's like line for line. They didn't change too much, really.
Yeah, and that shows you how much people love The Lion King, because that movie was a giant piece of shit, and it still became the highest-grossing animated film of all time. Yeah. Up until Frozen 2 came out, like a few months later.
Right. Yeah.
And now that record will never be shattered because society has ended.
Well, I think also maybe they used James Earl Jones again, which was a real.
That was good. But I heard the guy Chufi Babufi. I forget.
Yeah, the one
he played Scar. I heard he was terrible.
I would have used a lot of the same actors, to be honest. I would have used Jeremy Irons again.
Yeah, why not?
And I would have used Nathan Lane again.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen for replacing the other guy is fine.
I heard Eric Andre is one of the hyenas.
Oh yeah, right. That's right. Well, we'll get into it.
All right. So they get attacked in the elephant graveyard, and Mustafa saves them. Simba and Nalia. They get attacked by the hyenas.
Right. Hyenas played by
Whoopi Goldberg, Cheech Marin, and who's the other one?
I didn't know the actor.
Oh, Jim Cummings.
Okay.
I didn't know him. But Cheech Marin, this is his second Disney movie. He was also in Oliver and Company.
Wow, with just a lot of Oliver and Company references.
Well, it's so funny because when they were casting Little Mermaid, they said we need a stand-up comic because Cheech Marin was so funny in Oliver and Company. And also Jim Byrne. Do you remember Jim Byrne? He was also in or John Biner. He was also in Soap. He was a stand-up comic.
Yeah.
He was in Black Cauldron. So they said we need a stand-up comic for every movie now. So that's how they got Buddy Hackett to play the seagull
in Little Mermaid.
And then that's how they got two. They got Gilbert Gottfried and Robin Williams for Aladdin, so they continue to hear. I guess they brought Cheech Marin back. Like they always wanted a comedian for a while. That was the rule. We have to get some comedian because they would want. I think Buddy Hackett did this. They would improv the lines and then they would animate around it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically wanted them to do the writing for
yeah.
them.
Well, it's so funny. Like I did Aladdin let's pretend it's last week. Last week with Nick Simmons, and I was saying Aladdin is the closest to a comic Disney film,
right?
Because you have Gilbert and Robin Williams, who are both like great, and Gilbert Gottfried's a comics comic. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's just being Gilbert.
Yeah,
he's not.
But in the movie, the live action, the parrot didn't talk, right?
Oh, did you see that one yet? So can I just tell you, this is so. So they asked Gilbert. I have a neighbor who's friends with Gilbert Gottfried. Gilbert Gottfried wanted to play the parrot again. And by the way, I would have asked him to do Aladdin, but like with this thing, I'm like, he's probably not even picking up the phone. But okay, so they asked the director, "Hey, why didn't you have Gilbert Gottfried come back as the parrot? Like, why is the parrot not talking?" Well, we just thought it'd be too unrealistic to have a parrot talk like Gilbert Gottfried.
Right.
And I'm like, that's what Guy Ritchie said. And in my head, I'm like, but a flying carpet and a blue genie is realistic.
Right.
But Gilbert Gottfried's like, whoa. Now this is just complete bullshit. I don't buy any of this.
Yeah, it would have been funny and they have him do that. What's that joke that he used to do all the time?
The dirty joke?
Yeah.
He swallowed cum! I don't know. In the middle of Aladdin. So then, a Scar and the hyenas meet.
We're going back to the Lion King.
I'm sorry, you're back to the Lion King.
Okay.
They're talking about like what they're going to do, and Scar's a song called Be Prepared. And man,
that was one of the weaker songs in the movie.
But so many Nazi overtones.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, the hyenas are goose stepping.
Oh,
there's there's a shot of him when he's singing. It's very much like a famous picture of Hitler at a rally.
Okay.
Very I don't know. You didn't pick up on that?
That I didn't pick up on, but I do remember. And I was reading about it today, too, about how at the time people brought it up about they thought the hyenas, there were some racial overtones to that. Because the hyenas were played by
Whoopi Goldberg's Hispanic people, yeah. Hispanic and black people, yeah.
So, but then you could look and say there were other characters that were.
Well, the funniest thing is when Scar takes over jumping ahead, Scar takes over the kingdom, and he has a speech, and he's like, and the hyenas and the lions are going to come together. And Zazu and the monkey just put their heads down like this. It almost felt like an old white man being like, "Oh, the blacks moving into the neighborhood." You know what I mean? Like, it was such a weird moment. And it's like, wait a minute, like, why do animals not have racial harmony, but we're supposed to? Like, that, imagine if they were humans, and Scar was like, and now the Puerto Ricans and the white people are gonna live in harmony, and you cut to a character being like this. Oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think I remember that backlash. Also, like, I was reading about it today too. Like, they were. People were mad about hyena people. The fans of hyenas, the actual hyenas, didn't like that they were depicted so poorly.
Oh, wait, there's people that actually like hyenas?
Yeah, apparently it was like a zoological group that was mad that they made the hyenas the bad guys.
Can I just tell you, like, you can like animals. Like, I think tigers are cool. I think lions are cool. Like, I would definitely love to like have a pet. Not a real pet, like a doll of a tiger or a lion, or. And
you would like to have a doll of a lion?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying.
One day you could get that.
One day I could get it right.
Do you have like $10?
I better do it. Well, that's not. I better do it tomorrow before they shut down the city because you're not gonna be able to buy a lion doll. That's a Stitch.
That's a Stitch.
I bought it for the dogs, but
okay.
I don't get people who are like into animals that are not cats, dogs, or I would even go as far as gerbils. Like. I don't get people who are like into hyenas or into bears. Like, these are not pets. They have no connection with you.
Right.
You know? I just don't get it.
But there's there's one guy who's real into hyenas out there, you know? Oh. Everyone's into their own, I don't know.
I feel bad for him.
I do too.
So, there's a stampede.
All right, we'll go back to the plot.
But I like these diversions would make this podcast the podcast.
Yeah.
So there's a stampede of water buffaloes? What the fuck was it?
There was it seemed like it looked like every animal. I think the hyenas started.
Yeah, they started wildebeest.
Wildebeest, okay.
And Mustafa saves the kids again, but this time Scar is waiting for him, and Mustafa goes, "Hey, Scar, help me up," and Scar just goes, "Long live the king!" Like really, just really gay, and Mustafa falls to his death, and then Scar tells Simba it was all his fault. Get the fuck out. Which is just put this kid in how many years of therapy with that fucking speech? And then he tells the hyenas to go kill him.
Yeah.
they miss it. The hyenas just give up, because they're lazy because they're Hispanic, and then Simba passes out in the desert. And the funny thing to me about this movie is it starts off kind of lighthearted, then it gets very, very serious. But the cool thing about this movie, and I think what makes it work, is that this is the part of a lot of movies where it would just be completely serious now.
Yeah.
Like your dad's dead, your uncle told you to go fuck yourself. Now it's gonna be really serious and sad. And what happens is it gets fucking silly.
Yeah.
And it totally fucking works.
Well, they needed to do that. And I think one of the things about this movie was, I didn't even remember at the time, like, this is one of the few. Well, there was a few others, but like, especially as in modern times where it was a Disney movie and there was deaths involved in the movie. And that's kind of a big deal because these movies are for children. Yeah. And one of the nice characters dies. It's one thing if the bad character dies, but Mustafa dies early on in the movie. Yeah, and you really get to know Mustafa. Yeah. And the thing about Bambi's mom is like, Bambi's
that's
the other example, right?
Yeah, Bambi's mom, you don't see her die. You just kind of like she gets shot and then you don't see the body ever again. And they don't dwell on it. They kind of like mention it, but Bambi's not getting revenge on his mom in the second half of the movie. He's just living his life.
I want to see that movie though.
Where Bambi gets revenge? I'd like to see it too. But this movie, you see his corpse, you see him lying there dead. Yeah. And that kind of carries the rest of the movie. This character has to deal with the fact that his dad died in front of him for the rest of the movie. Whereas a lot of the other movies, like the parent has died before you got there. Like we don't even know what happened to Little Mermaid's mom, right? Or Belle from Beauty and the Beast's mom.
You don't see her.
Or Aladdin's parents. He's completely over the fact that they abandoned him. Right. Or Jasmine's mom in Aladdin. You don't know, but this guy has Simba has had a mom and a dad, and then his fucking dad just dies right in front of him. And his uncle killed him, but he doesn't know about it. Right. And, it's kind of cool that they actually deal with it rather than just be like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it, but this guy doesn't have a mom or this guy doesn't have a dad, which is what they do in all these movies. Right. So the Timon and Pumbaa show up. What did you think of those guys?
No, those are, to me, my favorite part because I thought Nathan Lane is actually that was really his first really big role in the movies.
Yeah, then Birdcage was 2 years later.
came out like a year after like that. And I was like put him on the map. And
I
thought he played that character. I was watching it like a Warner Brothers character. I really
he did. And so did the other guy.
Yeah, you know who the other guy was, right?
Yeah, he was from what show is he on?
I mean, he was in a lot of shows.
Ernie Sabella.
Right. He was in a lot of shows, but he's probably most well known for being Leah Remini's father on Saved by the Bell.
Yes.
Yeah. She was on those certain episodes where they were at the summer camp. Remember?
Yeah. This was the best thing that ever happened to him.
Oh yeah.
By the way, the other funny thing is Jonathan Taylor Thomas is young Simba and Matthew Broderick is old Simba, and it's so funny because one of the special features is Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick having dinner. And people assumed because they were in the producers. And you remember how hot that was?
Oh, yeah, huge. I forgot they were
together. And they were saying in the dinner, people always thought that they met during Lion King, but they were never in studio together. So even though they were in a bunch of scenes, they never actually met one another. Okay. But their chemistry in Lion King is what led people to think that they could be best friends or whatever.
Well, all right, so here I have a knock on this movie. So the actor who played Mustafa, James Earl Jones. Yes. Right? He's African American, right? Mm-hmm. The actress who played, I forgot her name, but the mother, she was also African American. Okay. Right? But their child...
Mae Sinclair.
Right. Their child somehow sounds like Ferris Bueller.
Well, he's Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. No, I know.
You can't have a white guy as the... You can't have a black guy as the
You
lead
have two
yet.
black parents, and the kid sounds like Ferris Bueller. It just seems strange to me, you know what I mean? Because now in the new Lion King, there's two black parents, and the kid is Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, and Beyonce is Nala, right?
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. It's like they just couldn't commit to having a black guy as the lead in any of these movies. The first time there's a black person as the lead in one of these animated films is this movie, Princess and the Frog. Well, I should probably say it out loud. Which is that? You know what movie year this came out? 2009. Right. That's insane to me. I never had people always be like, oh, representation, or what are you trying to be an SJW? But it's weird to me that these movies that mean so much to like kids worldwide never once had a black.
No, to
man
be
play
the
the
Lion King actually probably if you look at it,
Lion King is probably the closest black movie.
I mean, for
And
the
most of the
back-
cast-
the new Lion King is very diverse, but
Yeah.
but this is now. But '94, you didn't see that a lot, and for a movie in '94, it was more diverse in a lot of things because you had in that movie
Whoopi,
you had
Benson.
right. We should bring that up too. Robert Guillaume.
Yeah,
I don't know if people remember the show Benson. Do you remember?
I
the
do.
show
It's on. So this channel, Antenna TV. It's on 6:00 every day, and I watch
All right.
it.
Now that show is like it's kind of a show that was ahead of its time because you have this dumb white governor
Mhm.
and his black chief of staff is running everything. For
Yeah.
him, who's smart.
Somebody
know?
said the other day that Robert Guillaume is not a well-known actor, and
Guillaume,
I assumed that he was a kid. Everyone knew he was like this great fucking actor, and everybody goes to me like that. He's not like he wasn't well known. Am I mad? Wasn't he well known, Benson?
I think it was a network sitcom. It was
He was
popular.
on Benson. He was on Soap. Soap. He's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And he was on Sports Night. Then he had a stroke. But even he's Fifi. I mean, I think he's great. I like Benson. I didn't realize not a lot of people like Benson.
No, the accent that he's putting in the movie is like an African accent.
Yeah.
Is he the only character in the movie that's talking with an African accent?
He's the only black guy. And he's
Yeah,
a monkey.
no, but he's also the only one with an African accent.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like they're in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one should be talking like Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, Rowan Atkinson or fucking or even Nathan Lane. a lot of gay guys in this movie.
Yeah. And Nathan Lane is also one of those guys he obviously he came from the you ever hear the story about him how he came out
No, what happened?
because
He came out like I thought he came out like 96.
yeah no it was never even a thing.
Yeah.
He had this funny story once where people once asked him if he was gay and his answer was I'm a man, I'm not married, I'm in the theater, do the math.
Yeah.
I'm on Broadway, do the math, basically. So it was never a big thing because it wasn't a surprise for him. But he's not, and he also seemed like he's from New York. I always thought he was Jewish. He's not though.
He's not?
He's Irish, but he comes off like a
Yeah,
Jewish
yeah.
guy.
I think I remember him saying something about being Irish.
Yeah, but it's like one of those things where it's like
he's so New York and like big that you
right.
assume he's
But
Jewish.
there's like people grew up in New York. Like there's like someone like Regis. People thought Regis Philbin was Jewish.
He's not?
No, he's Irish because they all grew up in the same areas with Jews and Italians.
It's so funny because when I went to California to visit my family, they're sitting there and like your accent is so funny, and I'm like, and they go like, you sound very Italian or Jewish, and I'm well, I'm not. I'm Mexican. I'm your cousin. But yeah, everyone, you leave New York, you go other places. Well, we're not allowed to leave New York anymore. But when we used to, well, they just assume you're Jewish. Even your relatives assume you're Jewish.
Yeah, and was back especially in the Bronx too. So you remember the actor Gary Marshall, right? Everyone thought he was Jewish.
He's not.
No, he was.
Penny Marshall's not Jewish.
No, they're Italian, but they grew up.
You're blowing my mind here.
Yeah, they grew up in an area of the Bronx where this area was like it was either Jews, Italians, or Irish.
Yeah.
Right, and they all kind of lived in separate communities because that's what it was back then. But they all sounded exactly alike.
Yeah.
And Gary Marshall always played a Jewish guy in movies and TV shows, but he was full Italian.
Hey, did you see Hunters yet or no?
Which one is that?
The where Al Pacino hunts Nazis.
Yeah, I watched a lot of that.
That wasn't it, right?
No.
No, it looks horrible. It's like the worst thing I've ever
Nah, they just don't know what they want to do with it. It's a little too over the top.
seen. Yeah, it's like, is this a serious thing about Nazis or are you doing a cartoon? Yeah, that's what kind of feels like that. So, whatchamacallit? Nalia returns, tries to eat Timon and Pumbaa. Simba saves.
Nalia played by
Who's she played by now? I'm
big
gonna look.
an actress who was she was like the poor girl's Winona Ryder. Her name was Maura Kelly.
Maura Kelly. What was she in? That sounds familiar.
She's in this one cult classic movie that especially women really love called.
Oh, she was in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, she was also in this ice skating movie called the something. What was it called again?
Oh, I think I remember that one. I barely saw it, but
it's like a cult classic movie.
The Cutting Edge.
Cutting Edge.
Yeah,
and it's her and this guy.
It's a '92 actually.
Yeah, D.B. Sweeney, and it's became this cult classic.
She was also in Chaplin.
She was in and she was like gonna be the next thing. Like she was kind of I always thought they were pushing her to be like the next Winona Ryder, and then it just didn't happen.
Can I tell you something? Always when these women don't become the next big thing, it just kind of abruptly stops.
Yeah.
Where you're like, what? Like even Andy McDowell, I'm like, when? How did that end? I was fine with her.
Yeah, I was totally
What? How did this like just completely grind to a halt? I always feel like it's because they just didn't like even Meg Ryan. Like Meg Ryan, like it just was like a complete sudden like you see how abrupt that was.
Yeah.
Like she had one bomb, and they like made her go work at a Target. I'm like, I always think it's like you didn't fuck the right guy or something.
Yeah, but
now that we know more about Harvey Weinstein and everything,
it's also that it's unfair. But for actresses, like when they hit 40, they're fucking. They don't get a lot of second chances.
yeah, I know, yeah,
Or they do. Or they play the grandma.
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But but I'll give you an example of like they give men more chances. Is like there was an actor who was huge in the 70s, James Caan. He was in the
yes, yeah, I remember him. Is he still alive, right? Or
yeah, and he just he was the next big thing, and then they were gonna but he just kept picking the wrong movies, and he kept turning down really big movies to do garbage movies,
like Rollerball.
yeah, stuff like that. And I forgot he turned down really big movies. So then his career was done, But since he was a dude, they gave him another chance, and he was in Misery.
And that was amazing.
And it was a huge hit, and it brought his career back for at least
Yeah, and
a
then he
few
was
years.
wasn't he Honeymoon in Vegas? Yeah.
That actually movie did well though.
Yeah, that was a big hit. Yeah. So, but yeah, Maura Kelly. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
She probably died of corona by the time this comes out. So they fall in love within seconds, like in every fucking movie.
Yeah.
Where I was saying to something, Beauty and the Beast is literally the only well thought out love story. Because at least it takes the characters like 5 days to fall in love, as opposed to like 3 seconds, which is what happens with Nalia and Simba.
Right.
She tells him to come back to fight Scar. He's like, "No, I can't do that." And then he goes on like basically Robert Gulami shows up and gives him
Guillaume, I think his name.
Guillaume, yes,
Okay.
and gives him like a heroin or hallucinogens or something.
Yeah, what was that all about?
He gives him. I think he gives him like coke. I don't know, but and then he sees, and this scene is so famous, and it's been parodied so many times. He sees his dad in the clouds, and I think it's the second best scene in the film.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and then they have the big battle with the hyenas and Scar and Nalia.
Now, do you think any of this stuff was taken from Star Wars?
I think Star Wars. Yeah, the Force Ghost. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I just thought of that right now.
I think
sure.
plus you have James Earl Jones.
Right. I just didn't know if there was any connection.
James Earl Jones is like he's been the dad of the two white guys. It's kind of crazy. And so and it's funny, like this is the one movie where they admit that the females are the hunters in the pack.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like female empowerment, but they kind of just brush over it.
Right.
Because like Timon and Pumbaa do most of the work in the fight. Like they're being silly.
Now, how about the other thing with Timon and Pumbaa that people have brought up for years? And,
What's that?
And it's why probably Nathan Lane was replaced by Billy Eichner. Is that there's a lot always talk that they were like a gay couple.
Oh yeah, well I
over
guess,
the years, and I mean probably. I don't know.
Are they gay in the new one?
No, but they replaced Nathan Lane with Billy Eichner.
Yeah.
So,
but also the other thing is how could they be gay with each other?
What do you mean?
I mean, like
You've
they're a
never
meat rat
seen
and
a meat rat and
warthog.
Warthog have sex?
I don't know. I never. I don't see like raccoons fucking squirrels
It's good.
when I'm walking down the street.
Who do you think's the top or the bottom on that one?
Oh, fucking. Which one is Timon and which one is Pumbaa?
Timon is
the little
meat
meat rat.
rat.
Timon's on top. First of all, he's Nathan Lane, so he's like, I'm going on top. Fuck you fat pig. And he's the bear. Pumbaa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I mean, okay, go ahead. Let's keep going.
Well, then they end the movie as they begin with Simba's child and Benson. I'm not gonna say Raffi's real name. Benson holding him up, and then the movie ends with the same thing, Lion King.
Right.
And what a fucking ride! And you know what the thing about it is
That's
so
the whole
much
movie, really.
This is why.
Well, you're missing the fight and stuff.
Yeah, we talked about the fight.
Okay.
Scar and Simba and Timon and Pumbaa
Right. Okay.
and the hyenas.
But there was another thing that I thought the whole thing where they make Scar
The king, and he does a shitty job.
shitty job, and he just takes everything for himself as a bitch. Like it's almost I watched that today. I'm like, it reminds me of someone who's running shit right now.
Trump. Yeah.
Got a little Trump vibe to it.
Yeah,
It's like,
it was a
fuck
little Trump.
this.
I guarantee you, if this movie came out, well, it did come out last year, but if
Yeah.
it came out brand new last year, is Scar a commentary on Trump? Is Scar a commentary on Republicans? I guarantee you, people would have said that.
Yeah. But
You know?
I remember that was the first movie where you started hearing some of the PC backlash. And then I think even after that, the Disney movies got more and more
Well, because
PC.
they made it very Here's my thing with that movie. They tried to have it both ways. Tried to make it very African and very ethnic, but they also had Matthew Broderick
Yeah.
and Jeremy Irons running around.
Right.
And it's just...
But it's okay to have Jerry because the British guy can always be the bad guy in movies.
Yes.
You know that as a thing.
Yeah.
You know, but Ferris Bueller as an African...
Ferris Bueller, Jeremy Irons, and James Earl Jones are a family. How does that make sense? None of that adds up if you really think about it. But
Cameron should have been in the movie.
oh, he should have played Timon and Pumbaa. He should have played Timon, and James Spader should have played Puma.
You know, Cameron Allen Ruck is the actor's name,
Yeah.
right? And he's played Cameron in Ferris Bueller. And he's been in a million things since...
He was in, I think, Star Trek. One of the Star
Yeah,
Trek.
he's actually in the show. I've seen him in the show Secession. I'm sorry, it's not Secession. Succession.
Okay.
You know, the one on HBO?
Mm-hmm.
He's on it. And it's like, he's older now, but it's like, no matter what, wherever, I feel bad for this guy because he's always, you see him, what do you say?
Cameron.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing happens with the guy who played Walter Peck. I forget his name, but whenever I see him, and he also was in Die Hard as a shitty asshole too.
Oh, yeah. That
William
guy.
Atheron.
Yes.
Yeah, you always just think this man has no dick.
Yeah.
You know,
And he always played a prick in everything.
he always played a prick. Yeah, but there's one movie. There's like a horror movie. It was weird. It was a girl, the girl who lived in Lover's Lane. Something like it was on Netflix. Like when I first, and he plays a good guy. He plays the guy thinking about his childhood.
Really?
And this girl who was abused when he was a child, and he's like it's like Wonder Years but a horror movie. And it still comes. Even though like his character as you end the movie like you probably raped that girl. You're lying. You're fucking Walter Peck, you piece of shit. You know, I forget what it was called. It was like the girl in Lover's Lane. I don't know.
It was in Ghostbusters too, right?
He was in
Yeah.
Ghostbusters.
Right.
Not too. I think they should bring him
First
back.
one, yeah.
Hey, they might delay that new Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, because of the end of the world.
I think you know what I think they should do. This is what I think every company should do. I think right now they should put out the new Ghostbusters. They should put out Black Widow and charge like $25 to like.
Well, they're doing that already.
Well, they did with Onward, and then Bloodshot comes out next. As of March 21st, Bloodshot with Vin Diesel comes out next week.
Oh, and Invisible Man was out for a little
but
bit.
you can't buy. You can rent it.
No, you can buy it.
No, you can't buy it. I tried to.
Oh, really?
It's $20 to rent it, which I'm not doing.
What? Who
Yeah,
cares, though?
Onward's $20 to own, which I'll probably do later. But I'm definitely buying Bloodshot because it's based off a superhero.
But let's tail back to this. So, if they get rid of movie theaters, or they just do this new thing where it's like, the movie just comes out and it's $20 just to rent the movie.
I'm not doing.
You're not on board.
Well, certain movies, like if this happened a year
Because
ago.
when you go see a movie, you're not keeping it in your head.
But like, here's the thing: if this happened a year ago and Endgame was the movie fucking being, first of all, there'd be riots in the street if they were delaying Endgame for the fucking this virus. Then people would want answers. All right, now we need answers. We're not gonna have Endgame, like, because people need to see that. But if it was Endgame, I would pay $30 to rent it. I would have paid $30 to rent that movie and watch it once. But Black Widow, it's kind of like a new start. It's kind of like a new story or whatever. I'm not in a rush to see it, so I'll pay $20 to own it, but I'm not gonna pay $20 to rent it.
Okay.
You know, but I think some ways you get away with it, like.
But don't you think? Because I feel like this virus is going to change a lot of things, and that will never go back. You know, and I think this may affect the movie industry forever.
It may, but Nicolas Cage. You know, there was an interview with Nicolas Cage a year ago. Did you ever see the movie Mandy?
No.
It just came out, and he said, you know, people think I'm a fucking loser because I do direct to DVD movies. He goes, here's the deal: a lot of my fans now, they're older. They have a wife. They have kids. They go to the movie theater. It's like $100.
Right.
They're working class. If you go to see my movie, you go to see my movie. Like you rent it for $10, or you buy it for $20. You can sit in your living room. You have your popcorn.
Right.
You can eat whatever you want. You can pause if you have to do stuff around the house.
Take a shit.
You know, take a shit. You know, like you spend $10. Your whole family gets to watch it. He goes, this is the future, and he says the picture quality is just as good as the theaters.
Yeah.
You get the right sound.
The only thing in his case is
he's making horror movies.
no, he's making these movies because he's still paying off the IRS.
I know, but he also said like I would
he was
rather
buying friggin' castles. You ever hear those stories? About
Oh
him?
yeah.
He's like, I can't believe I owe this money to the IRS, and they're like, I own 5 castles. I'm like, why are you buying castles? Who has castle money?
But can I tell you?
He made some big movie, but castle money is reserved for like the Beatles, not for fucking. I mean, I remember some of the Beatles own castles. You're in the Beatles. You're not the guy who made fucking.
We should do a podcast about the fake Paul McCartney. 'Cause I was listening to a podcast about that. That's a whole fucking story.
Yeah, you can't buy a castle with leaving Las Vegas money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or I think he bought it with face-off money or
Face
Con
off,
Air money.
okay.
But no, it's so funny because like at the time, because when the movie Mandy came out, people said it was really good. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. And I was like, well, it can't be that good. It's on DVD. And then when he broke down, because it came right to DVD, when he broke down why he did that, I rented Mandy, and Mandy was one of the best films I saw in 2018.
Wow.
It was really good, and I'm like, oh wow, you know what? It's true. He goes, the theater is kind of pricing out these movies, and also like the other thing he said is like the multiplex has been dominated by Marvel,
Of course, yeah.
and Disney. And even if I would try to push to get this movie in theaters, how many theaters are going to get in? It might as well just go right to DVD, right to my fans.
It just used to be, and the stigma is eventually dropping.
Yeah.
But like, we'll get back to The Lion King for a minute, because the sequels to The Lion King
Were DVD.
were all direct to video,
And they're not that good.
No, but I was reading the reviews of them and I watched them. They weren't awful.
The one I want to see
Like,
is
that
Lion
used to
King
be-
1.5.
Yeah, but that's actually a good idea for a movie.
Yeah.
What they did was it's The Lion King, but through the eyes of Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah, how was that?
I watched some of it. It was a good idea.
Yeah?
Actually.
Okay.
And that actually they took that from, there was a play that was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
What about Hamlet?
Yeah, and it was seen through the eyes of these guys.
They're just really ripping off Hamlet left or right any way they can with this fucking thing.
Well, that's the thing, is you rip off people who can't sue you.
Yeah.
And I don't think Shakespeare can sue people, can he?
No, he's dead.
Okay.
No, I mean, no. I mean, yeah, no, he can't. Well, here's my thing about this movie. So much happens, and it's like you would think this movie is like a 3-hour movie. If I broke down,
Go back to Lion King.
yeah, back to Lion King. So much happens in this movie. This is why it's such a good movie. If I told you, and then the father dies, and then the kid goes away for years, and this and that, you would think, what is this, a 3-hour movie?
Yeah.
No, we're gonna do this
And
in
there's like
88
5
minutes.
songs in it where they sing.
And there's songs.
Yeah.
So much happens, so many characters, and it's not even 90 minutes. And that to me is why it's such a great movie. It's so fast.
It was kind of shocking. I always thought that movie. I know that the cartoon movies are always shorter, but I felt like I always thought Lion King was long.
Yeah, me too, because there's so much happens.
Yeah.
But it happens. And they don't waste time. They every scene has a purpose. Every scene has a meaning. But you still feel like you like Mustafa dies like 26 minutes, 30 minutes into the movie, but you still feel like you really got to know him.
Well, I got a question for you. So
Yeah.
Disney, they just do everything to make money.
Yeah.
At one point, this reboot made gajillion dollars. They're gonna remake this again. They just will.
Yeah.
All right. They're remaking the original Lion King one more time in 20 years or 10 years, we'll say.
Okay.
All right. So, who are the actors? Who are you putting in there?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, that's hard.
Let's say James Earl Jones is dead at this point.
James. Oh, well, then the movie you can't remake it if he's
All right.
dead.
So he's alive. He plays that character.
I mean, honestly, if I Scar, I would have put Joaquin Phoenix or Bryan Cranston as Scar. I mean, he's probably gonna be dead.
No, not in 10 years.
Well, everyone will be dead.
Yeah.
We'll all be dead in 10 years with the way this fucking thing is going. But I would put Bryan Cranston as Scar before.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. And also I think who else would I put in this fucking thing? I think Timon and Pumbaa.
Justin Bieber as Simba.
Well, he'll be in his 40s at that point. I mean, I think
He'll
you know what would have
sound
been
like
a
he's
good Timon
20.
and Pumbaa to me is I mean, I don't
I'd say
know.
remaking it right now.
Okay, you know who I think I would put as Timon and Pumbaa right now, and you might be like, really? But I think the kind of fitting the mold is Stavros and Matteo Lane.
Oh, you're talking about it. Comedians, yeah.
Well, I mean, just anybody. I'm trying to think of someone who's flamboyantly gay
Okay.
to put as Timon.
Okay.
I don't think you should have made Timon straight. I think you should have kept him like I think Timon and Pumbaa should have been a bear, like weird, like dominatrix relationship. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, they're pushing like you see the push to make Elsa gay. in Frozen.
Oh, Frozen. Yeah.
Yeah. They're really pushing for that, and like, I haven't seen Frozen 2 yet. I'm waiting to see it for this podcast. But like, I heard like, I think if they had Elsa kiss a guy or fuck a guy, like literally there'd be riots in Disney World because they're pushing for them to be gay. So like, fuck it, make these two gay. What's his name was gay in the live action remake? Gaston's little buddy.
Oh right, I heard. The Beauty and the Beast, right?
Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
But
I could see them remaking Lion King 2 as live action.
Lion King 2. Oh, the sequel.
Yeah.
The one. But that one, I watched it for a few minutes. Jerry Stiller's in that for some reason.
What does he play?
I think he plays one of the lions.
Where was he the whole time? Was he at vacation in Boca? I was in Boca. What happened here? Where's Mustafa?
You can look it up, but I'm sure it was his.
All my friends are dead. This is insane. It was Ben Stiller. By the way, you should watch this while we're in quarantine. This deserves a whole podcast. You ever seen the movie Heavyweights by Disney?
Yeah, they a football team.
No, about the Fat Camp.
Fat Camp, okay.
With Ben Stiller plays the fitness guru.
Oh, is he a dick in it?
He's and Jerry Stiller is. You say Ben Stiller or Jerry Stiller? Was it?
No, I meant Jerry Stiller.
Jerry Stiller, okay.
Yeah.
Jerry Stiller plays like but also Paul Feig is in the movie. And there's a couple of other people who are like big comedy actors. It's almost like this is like the beginning. Oh, I think Judd Apatow somehow involved.
Oh, okay.
I think he wrote the script. And it's like this is like the beginning of like the Will Ferrell, Paul Rudd,
right.
Steve Carell. But it's like takes place in 1995. And it's
Rat
a really
movie.
dark. I watched it with my friend when I first got Disney Plus. I can't believe that's a Disney movie from 1995. It's kind of funny. It's kind of almost like hipster humor before that even was a thing.
Yeah. Well, those guys were kind of the forefront of that.
Yeah, but you should check it out again.
Okay.
It's fucking. But it came out around the same time, and like, it's just weird sometimes the things that they greenlight. You're like, really,
So with The Lion King, you say that it's not in your top 5.
Yeah.
So what are your top 5?
My top 5 right now. I think Pinocchio is the best one they ever made.
Really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. Pinocchio, I feel like is scary.
It is.
I remember seeing it as a
Pinocchio's a
kid.
fucked up movie.
It's like scary though, right?
I'm surprised there hasn't been a push to get that censored since Disney Plus came out.
Yeah.
Pinocchio's number
Like
1.
Song of the South, which is.
Well, that's completely.
You
gone.
didn't do that on this thing. did
No,
you?
no,
Yeah.
no. No. Well, no, it's not part of this lineup. This is like every animated film. There's guys and live action guys.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
As of right now, because I didn't see any of these Tangled or this one or Wreck-It Ralph. But as of now, so I would say Pinocchio's number 1, Little Mermaid's number 2, 3 is Lady and the Tramp, 4 is Bambi, and 5 is Cinderella.
So where do you put Lion King? This is.
I probably in the
Why?
top 10.
But why? Why isn't that? I mean.
Well, I think Cinderella's. I think like Bambi. If you look at the time and the technology they had, the fact that it holds up so well is kind of amazing. I loved Little Lady the Tramp was the first movie I ever owned on VHS. So like for months, that's all I watched, and it still holds up. For me, I've seen that movie maybe like 30, 40 times, and for that to hold up is like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cinderella, I think, is a great movie because it's good for girls and boys, and a lot of movies like just made for girls. And Little Mermaid was never my top 5. Dumbo was probably my top 5 years ago, but when I started, Little Mermaid went up because I just feel it's so important. Like I feel like Little Mermaid changed the movie industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of people we didn't really get that. We didn't understand that at the time.
Right.
But now when you look back, it's like, oh, everything changed because of this movie.
Well, but you also look at the credits of Lion King. I noticed one thing in the credits that this was one of the later hand animated movies.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why they don't do it anymore is it's expensive to actually have people just hand drawing things. But that used to be the norm. And you know that like I read once that one of the reasons why animated movies they got really big in the 30s, animated cartoon movies.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is they had so many animators because it was during the Depression that it was just like because I don't know if you watch an animated movie, the more you know how they do it. It's like frames per second.
Yeah.
So the more frames they have and more drawings they have per second, the more realistic it looks. And Disney was always on the forefront of that.
Yeah. Well, Walt Disney was like, you look at the first 5 movies that he did, the first 5 animated films, everything is an experiment. Snow White, they told him he's going to go bankrupt. They're like, nobody wants to watch a 90-minute cartoon. You're out of your fucking mind.
Right.
And it became like a huge sensation. But then Pinocchio, he took more risks. Like he took like if you watch Pinocchio, everything is so different from every other animated film at that time. And then the third movie, Fantasia, is fucking like this weird like musical number thing, kind of like abstract. It's like, well, what the fuck are you doing? Then Dumbo, they kind of scale it back. But then even Bambi is like, you're in the forest. There's no humans. It's very like the mom gets shot. Like everything was kind of like a risk, the first 5 movies. And Disney was kind of always in the forefront of pushing animation to another level. Like if you think of Steamboat Willie and Snow White are 10 years apart.
Right.
And look how different those two things are.
Yeah, and you see that Steamboat Willie was like 1927.
Yeah, and
So
Snow White is 38.
That's really when animation blew up in this country. As far as, I mean, in the 30s.
Yeah.
And I read that one of the reasons why is because a lot of people got into that field. Because if you could draw, that was a job you could get. They'd give you $5 a year, and you were happy with it. You could draw some pictures. You know?
Yeah. I think the best thing and the worst thing that happened to animation was Toy Story because it's made a boom because there's so many animated films now per year. It used to be like maybe like 2 or 3. There'd be like a Disney film, kind of middle of the road one, and then like 2 stinkers where you're like, why the fuck was that even out? And now it's like there's so many animated films and they make money. You know?
Do you miss the hand drawn ones?
I do, but like there's hand drawn animation. Like every now and then, like I'll put on Cartoon Network, and the hand drawn animation they have now is just so fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever seen? Did you like She-Ra?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you seen the new She-Ra? Woo!
Bad.
She looks like a fat girl who runs an open mic in the village. She-Ra, and everyone's non-binary or gay. Even Hordak is like, it's just like so like, and the animation is very poorly done. And I kind of think the worst thing that ever happened to 2D animation was My Little Pony, because they started catering that show towards the weirdos, and now I feel like every 2D show is catered towards weirdos, like creepy fucking guys our age that watch cartoons. Which I shouldn't be saying that because I have a fucking podcast about cartoons. But
but working on a podcast is actually even as cool. I'm not a podcast, a cartoon. As cool as it sounds,
it's a lot of hard work.
It's monotonous. And I once dated this girl who. They were for a while. They were making cartoons on MTV. This was after Beavis and Butthead.
Oh, Liquid Television.
Yeah, and other stuff like that. They had a whole animation department. And I visited her once at work, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the coolest job in the world." And she's like, "Nah, it's really boring."
Yeah,
because she's like, "I'm basically my whole day consists of I have to draw this one scene." Mm-hmm. It's like I'm just drawing 50 drawings of the same thing.
Oh, the animators were like, you're basically trapped in a room.
Right. Now they farm that most now to Korea and stuff.
And nobody gives you credit. Like, if Beauty and the Beast was a live action movie in 1991 and that got nominated for Best Picture, that director would have gone on to like probably like direct like movies. Like we would know his name at the very least. Like you know what I mean? Like John Singleton did Boys in the Hood. We all know who that is.
Right.
You don't know who the fuck. I still can't remember really. They're Ron Clements and we haven't even mentioned the director of this fucking thing.
No.
The whole podcast.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it doesn't matter. And that's what they kind of said. Like we kind of just get when these guys die. Like let's say the 2 guys who directed Beauty and the Beast drop dead. It's not even gonna get like no one's gonna make a Facebook status about it.
No,
they're just gonna go like off in the wind.
But now, I mean, now because like, well, some of them like,
John Lasseter was like a big deal.
But what's like, no, this guy Brad Bird.
Yes, well, he started doing live action.
I think once you go into live action, they take you more seriously.
Yeah,
but if you just direct cartoons, because he directed Simpsons and then he moved into.
I know, but what's crazy though is like literally this movie Lion King has like just changed the universe. You know, it like Roger Ehlers and Rob Minkoff directed this.
Sure.
You would even they came into this house right now with a shotgun. We don't know who the fuck these guys are. Like, who are you? Are you homeless? I directed the Lion King. So like that's the thing. I think they said that once in one of the Blu-rays. So like nobody knows who we are. Like we get this done. You do all this work. You get it done, and then you go to the Mexican restaurant. They when they're done with the movie, they go to the Mexican place. You just get loaded off margaritas and tequila. Right. They get wasted, probably pass out in the street, and then just have to go back and do it again.
But they have a little fun because remember the thing they were talking about? They wrote sex.
Sex, yeah. Well, I think sometimes you get so annoyed that no one gives a shit.
Well, people don't know the story. Is like there were people complaining because they thought there was a scene where they were showing clouds, and the animators snuck in one of the frames the word sex.
Yes.
Although they claimed that it was just SFX. That was just which is the name for sound effects.
Sound effects, yeah.
Or whatever. So what do you think? Do you think they snuck in sex there?
Yeah, I think, dude. So like nobody.
Because if you have 24 frames per second, you can put in
or
like,
60 even
yeah,
nowadays.
you could just snick in a penis in there in one frame, and people won't really see it unless they see it subliminally.
Well, in Rescuers, there's in a window there's an actual porn movie being played.
Oh, really?
And nobody caught it until like 92 when the VHS tape came out, because nobody was like, they probably figured themselves when they're making this movie in 77. Well, no one's ever going to be able to go frame by frame for this fucking thing. They're going to sit in the theater, half paying attention to it because they're stupid kids there, and then leave. So, like, I think, back in the day, nowadays they're smarter. Nowadays, like, you cannot sneak in.
No, you put this on, you could put it on your YouTube and fucking just watch.
Yeah, and then you just pause, and 90, if they snuck in a tit in Toy Story 4, there'd be 5,000 fucking YouTubers making a video about it, and Twitter would be going.
Do you think
ballistic.
they snuck in sex? Do you think they wrote sex in there?
I think they did on purpose.
Yeah.
I think they did a few. The guy who drew the penis, I don't know if you remember, there's a penis, the Little Mermaid VHS cover. He said he did it on purpose because he was annoyed with his pay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they do stuff like that on purpose. Yeah, because they probably didn't think, like, no one was going to pick up on this, and people do. People have a lot of time in their hands.
You think any of those guys made money in The Lion King?
I think they do. I think Roger Ailes, I heard his name a lot. And Don Hahn produced it. I think these guys did because these guys were the reason where you got a guy like Don Hahn and Roger Ailes. They worked on Beauty and the Beast. They worked, so I think Disney had to realize, like, listen, it wasn't for these fucking guys.
Yeah.
We wouldn't own I think the big thing is they buy ABC right after this. We wouldn't own ABC or ESPN. So maybe, I think they got bonuses. But, like, if fucking Roger Ailes said, I'm leaving and I'm gonna go to Warner Bros. And make a Bugs Bunny movie unless you give me like $1 billion. I'd be like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Who's gonna give a shit that you're directing the Bugs Bunny movie?
Yeah, I think that's really and I think at the point Disney also bought Miramax. That changed.
Well, they were in partnership. They never owned it because if they owned it, because when he left, like those movies now, like you can get those movies now on DVD. The DVDs now are dirt cheap because that catalog's basically worthless because of what he did. Our good friend Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
By the way, I love it how everybody acted like he was like fucked. He's probably the safest guy in New York City at this point.
Why?
From the virus. He's in solitary and
in solitary
in Rikers. Like, isn't it funny? Like, well, like I don't know. Like him and Matt Lawler and Louis C.K. are protected, and we're all fucking dying in the street.
Yeah, solitary would be a good place to be right now.
Oh yeah. Fucking great. He's gonna emerge as the mayor of this town. He's gonna come out of that fucking cell and be like, all right, we're making Pulp Fiction 2, you fucks. Who's gonna suck my dick? Oh, sorry, Mr. Weinstein. Sorry about everything. Bill Cosby too.
Yep. Oh
They're
yeah.
both gonna come out better. Bill Cosby is so protected right now.
God, man, it's so funny.
I know it is funny. Eric, so you think I always ask this question from my guests, but like I was dealing with older movies when I asked this, but I know what the answer could be. You think this is a movie appropriate for kids nowadays?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm watching this now. It was rated G, right?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Now you look at it and you're like, are kids more sensitive? I don't think they are, but their parents are more sensitive now. I feel that's the thing that goes on now.
Well,
kids have seen way more now than they have years ago.
Well,
but their parents now are more sensitive about it.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. So I have a cousin who has a little son. The son's like 7, and when they got Disney Plus, he was like, "Oh, I want to show you my childhood." So he showed him Lion King and Aladdin, and the kid was like, "Oh, okay." And he took the kid to the theater to see the new Lion King and the new Aladdin, which was live action. And the kid was like, da 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 da, like he was like singing like the song about and singing a whole new world and everything. He's like, I just showed you how to make this version sucks. Why the fuck? So it's weird. So the kids, and then like the kids started liking old Aladdin. So the kids are responding to this new shitty versions. So I guess that's why they do them.
Yeah, I mean it's like printing money. I mean Disney realizes they don't even have to make anything new ever again.
No, they just remake. They're remaking Mulan. Let me tell you, when they remake Frozen live action, you can fucking forget about it.
But you think about it, you look at it just as a business perspective. All right, this new Lion King made like $2 billion.
Yeah,
right, and like, but they're like they don't make like they'll say they don't make movies like good scripts or something like that. But like, why take a chance if you know you're going to make a movie and you're going to make a $2 billion profit? Why Yeah, just from a business perspective.
Why would you? And everybody at 1.657 billion.
Right.
And the budget was 260 million.
And that's just box office. And you're not talking about other.
We're not talking about like because I bought it. I mean, even though I didn't go see it in the theater, I bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, and every toy. And
from I didn't buy the toys.
Right. So why wouldn't you make this movie?
Yeah. Same thing like Mulan. Like they may. I mean, it's gonna get delayed now, but like even Mulan, like why not?
Right.
Plus, China's gonna take over us anyway, so you might as well kiss up to them now. So, Eric, is there anything you want to plug? Do you still have your podcast going?
I do. It's Last Exit to Brooklyn. But
Okay.
it's a great podcast. I do Tom McCaffrey and Alex Prashera too.
Yes, he's the
Yeah.
producer, right?
Yeah, it's a good show. But we're a little bit on hiatus maybe for a little bit. I don't know.
You're not
But
gonna do it via phone, 'cause that's how I'm gonna continue doing this.
yeah, we're gonna try to do something. We're just gonna wait a week till because this is a zombie apocalypse right now. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, it pretty much is. But I'm the only reason I'm recording this far in advance is because I honestly don't know what the world's gonna look like in May and June.
Yeah.
But at least I'll still have Disney podcast.
If there's not a world going, like, what if the world dies and you still gonna put this out there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, so that way the rebellion can listen to us talk about Lion King and get inspired to fight back against our Chinese government. Oh my God.
All right.
We're gonna get arrested by the Chinese parliament. Why you say about us in this Lion King podcast?
That was not my voice, by the way.
It wasn't his voice. Sorry. Eric, you think you're ever gonna do stand up again? What do you think's gonna happen?
I don't know, man. This game over.
Game over.
I don't know. Possibly. I mean, I probably, but I mean, I don't know. A year is a long way away. I don't know. It could be a year.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna keep. You know what though? Even though it won't be stand up, I'll be here every week to talk about Disney movies and Bugs Bunny and all the sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, those are the best movies.
Thank you. So, if you just discovered this podcast because you love The Lion King or you like Erik Bransteen or what have you, please listen to some older episodes in the archives. I've done every movie from Snow White to this. Next week is Pocahontas with Tracy Carranzo, and on and on and on. So, if you like this or if you're a Disney fan, please tell a friend. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Gootz. Also, my special actually came out at 8 o'clock tonight.
What's your special?
They recorded my friend had a 3-camera shoot of my album recording,
Yeah.
and he edited it and put it together, and I never put it out. But now that the apocalypse has hit, I put it out this weekend.
Smart.
Yes, I put it out tonight. I'm going to be promoting it. But if you want to see my hour-long special, Ray Gootz Going Down Swinging Live from January 2018, it's on my YouTube at Ray Gootz Comedy. Erik Bransteen, where can people find you on social media?
I do a lot on Twitter.
Yes.
But you could do Instagram right now. So Erik B Comic.
Okay, you're going to be doing Instagram live shows?
No, I just fucking put my tweets on Instagram.
Okay.
All right, so
All right.
go ahead.
I'll put a link in the description.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. Eric, thank you so much for coming out. I know it's hard getting here.
Yeah, I may die because of this podcast.
You may die. You may get corona for the Lion King. But
it
you know
was
what?
worth it.
You'll appear to me in the sky and tell me what to do in a couple of years
And you could sing that song.
when I'm living with that gay couple in the desert.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to The Lion King. Next week is Pocahontas with Tracy Carranzo. Hope you're not dead yet, and we'll talk to you next week.